Today we're working on solving multi-step equations. You can see we got three objectives. These are all objectives we worked on here and there over the past couple weeks. First one says I can use the distributive property to solve multi-step equations. So we're going to be seeing some distributive property today. I can solve multi-step single variable equations that require combining like terms. So we're going to need to be able to combine some like terms. And I can solve equations with variables on one or both sides of the equation. So we're going to see some equations that have variables on both sides, which is something we just worked on recently. So today, we put it all together. We're working on things here and there with solving some equations. We did some simplifying algebraic expressions. But today we use all the skills that we worked on over the past couple weeks to solve multi-step equations. So you can see we've got 5 steps today. Not every equation is going to require all 5 steps. We need to check through the 5 just to make sure. This is our example equation. I want you to go ahead and copy it underneath step number 1 here. 9 and then parentheses x minus 10 minus 4x equals 8x plus 27. The first thing we want to look for when solving a multi-step equation is, are there parentheses? If there are, that's the first thing we need to eliminate. So there's only one set of parentheses here. Everything else that's not part of this distributive property step we need to bring down. So just 9 times x and 9 times negative 10 is part of this step. 9 times x is 9x, 9 times negative 10 is negative 90. These other things are not in parentheses and they're not right outside parentheses showing multiplication. So just bring them down. Minus 4x equals 8x plus 27. Step number 2, combine like terms on each side of the equation. So we can only combine things that are on the same side as each other. So we've got 9x, and then on the same side we've got negative 4x. The negative 90 can't be combined with those, and we can't go across the equal sign to combine it with 27. Over on this side we don't have anything to be combined either. We have 8x and 27, and those are not like terms. So the only things we combine here are these two x terms that are on the same side together. 9x minus 4x is 5x. And we just bring down the rest. Minus 90 equals 8x plus 27. Step number 3 is to eliminate the variable on one side of the equation. That's only if we have variables on both sides. And here we do. We have 5x and 8x. We can't get x by itself if x is on both sides. So we're going to get rid of the one that is less. If you remember, that's easier, although we could get rid of the 8x if we wanted to. So to get rid of the 5x, we're going to subtract 5x. Go to the other side of the equal sign, where we have an x term, and subtract 5x from that side also. This cancels out. Bring down your negative 90 that you've got there, equals 8x minus 5x is 3x, and then you got plus 27. Step number 4 is to use inverse operations to isolate the variable. So at this point, you can tell we just have a 2-step equation. So we're just going to use inverse operations to isolate the variable. So subtract 27 to get x by itself here. Subtract 27. Negative 90 minus 27 is negative 117 equals 3x. And this cancels out. Let's rewrite this up here. Negative 117 equals 3x. So now if x is being multiplied by 3, we need to finish this off by dividing by 3 on both sides. So x equals, now if you're having trouble dividing this, you can set this up. Do negative 117 and take 3 into 117 here. 3 can't go into 1, but 3 does go into 11 3 times. 3 times 3 is 9. So we subtract 11 minus 9. We're just gonna ignore this negative for a minute. We'll just know that our answer is going to be negative because we're doing a negative divided by a positive here. So we can go ahead and put that up there as our answer. 11 minus 9 is 2. Bring down your 7. 3 into 27 goes in 9 times. 9 times 3 is 27. So we're done there because we end up with the same thing that we're subtracting, left with 0. So negative 39 is your result there. Now let's check to make sure. We're going to check our answer to make sure that this is correct. We think it's x equals negative 39. This is going to be a little bit of a longer process here with this today. And I'm going to allow you to use a calculator to check your answer. So if you've got a calculator, you need to go get that so you can check your answer with me here. I'm going to write out what I want you to type into your calculator. We'll type it in together here in a second, but write out this with me here. We're going to rewrite the equation from the top up here. But every time where we see x, we're going to plug in what we found for x. So 9, and then in parentheses, we have negative 39 in its own set. Anytime we plug in a negative number, we should give it its own set of parentheses. Minus 10, and then finish off that parentheses, minus 4, and then again we see x. So we're looking at this right here, just plugging in negative 39 everywhere where we see x. Equals 8, and then negative 39 for x, plus 27. So I've got x, I got negative 39 everywhere where I had x before. Now I'm going to check to see if the two sides really do come out equal here. So I'm going to type this in. So I've got 9, parenthesis, parenthesis, negative 39, parenthesis, minus 10, parenthesis, minus 4, parenthesis, negative 39, parenthesis. So I just typed in everything that I saw on this side, and I get negative 285 over here. So write that above there so don't forget that. And then I do the same thing on this side here, 8, parenthesis, negative 39, parenthesis, plus 27. And I got negative 285 for that side as well. So as long as the two sides come out equal, I know that what I came up with here when I solved my equation is correct. So that one was pretty long, but I wanted to show you one that did require all 5 steps. Let's take a look here. Let's kind of back up, and we're going to do some of these together problems, and some of these are going to be a little bit easier than the one we just worked on, and they're not going to require all 5 steps. We're going to work our way up to some more difficult ones here in a second. So number 1 is 9, and then in parentheses, j minus 4 equals 81. Step number 1 today, use the distributive property to eliminate parentheses. We do have some parentheses here, so 9 times j is 9j, and 9 times negative 4 is negative 36, equals 81. Step number 2 is to combine like terms on each side of the equation, and we don't have any like terms here or here, so that step actually doesn't apply. Step number 3, eliminate the variable on one side of the equation, and we only have variables on one side, so we don't have to do that either. So you can tell, you probably were able to tell at this point, we just have a 2-step equation at this point. We just need to do step number 4, which is to use inverse operations to isolate the variable. So we're going to add 36 to both sides, giving us 9j equals 117, and then we divide by 9. Again, if you're having trouble, you can go ahead and divide it out like this. Oops, I wrote 119 instead of 117. So 9 goes into 11 just once. 1 times 9 is 9. We subtract. 11 minus 9 is 2. Bring down your 7. 9 goes into 27 3 times. 3 times 9 is 27, and we're done. So 13 looks like it's going to be your correct answer here. So j equals 13. And then we're going to go ahead and type this into the calculator as well to check our solution. Actually, we don't need to do that for this one. We can figure it out. So we're going to plug in 13 here for j, because that's what we found. Since it only shows up once, we can do this without a calculator. 13 minus 4 is 9, and then 9 times 9 is 81. So looks like both sides are going to come out equal there. All right, number 2 is negative 5, and then in parentheses, 3m plus 6 equals, on this side we have negative 3, and then in parentheses 4m minus 2. All right, step number 1, use the distributive property to eliminate parentheses. I always want to deal with those parentheses first. Negative 5 times 3m is negative 15m. Negative 5 times 6 is negative 30. On this side, negative 3 times 4m is negative 12m. And negative 3 times 2 is positive 6. Step number 2 is to combine like terms on each side. We don't have any like terms over here. We don't have any like terms over here. And we can't combine across an equal sign. So we don't have to do step number 2. Step number 3, eliminate the variable on one side. We do have variables on both sides here. We got negative 15m and negative 12m. So we need to get rid of one of those two. If we're looking to get rid of the one that is less, technically negative 15 is less, because the larger the negative, the less it's worth. So we're going to add 15m to both sides. Cancels out, gives us negative 30 equals negative 12 plus 15. We've got 3 more positives and negatives, plus 6. And so now we just have a two-step equation to solve here. So we're going to subtract 6 on each side. We get negative 30 minus 6 is negative 36 equals 3m. And then we divide by 3. We get negative 12 equals m, or m equals negative 12. Okay, let's try this out and see what we get if we plug in negative 12 here and here, if the two sides really do come out equal. Let's see here. We got negative 5 parentheses, and then we got 3, and then negative 12 gets its own set of parentheses, plus 6. Finish off that last parenthesis there. This side is 150 over here. Over on this side, we got negative 3 parenthesis, 4, and then negative 12 gets its own set of parentheses again, plugging in for m there, minus 2. Finish that off. We got 150 on this side too, so as long as the two sides come out equal, our solution is good to go. Alright, so let's do another one here. Flip over to the back side. And yeah, let's just go ahead and do number 3. We got 8, and then in parentheses 4x minus 5, and then finish off the parentheses minus 7x equals 20x minus 10. This is very similar to the introductory problem we just did a minute ago. So if you want to pause the video here and see if you can solve this without me and see what you come up with, that might not be a bad idea, but I'm going to go ahead and get started. So if you want to do that, just pause it right now and see if you can solve it. So just the parentheses here, so we want to deal with first. 8 times 4x and 8 times negative 5 gives us 32x, and then 8 times negative 5 is negative 40. The rest of this stuff we just bring down. It's not part of this step, so just bring it down. Step number 2 is to look for like terms to combine. We do have some like terms. We have 32x and negative 7x on the same side together. So we're going to combine those together. But negative 40 can't be combined with anything over here, and this stuff can't be combined. So 32x minus 7x is 25x. We got minus 40 over here equals, and this side we got 20x minus 10. Okay, step number 3 is to limit the variable on one side if we have variables on both sides, and we do. We got 25x and 20x. We're going to get rid of the one that's less, which is the 20x. So subtract 20x on both sides. Let's see, 25x minus 20x would be 5x minus 40 equals 20x minus 20x cancels out, and we got negative 10 over here. And now we just have a two-step equation to solve here. So we're going to add 40 to both sides. It cancels out. We got 5x equals negative 10 plus 40 is 30. And then we just divide by 5 on both sides. Looks like x is going to equal 6. So now we're going to plug in into the original equation. Oops. Everywhere where we see an x, we're going to plug in positive 6. So let's type this in and see if we get the same thing on both sides or not, see if our answer is good. So we got 8 parenthesis 4, and then 6 we're going to put in parentheses, minus 5 parenthesis, minus 7, and then in parentheses 6. So on this side I got 110 altogether. Let's see what the other side comes out to be here. We got 20, and then in parentheses 6. Minus 10. We got 110 for that one as well. We probably could have figured that side out without a calculator, but I mean, you can do any of this without a calculator. It's just for time's sake, I'm allowing you to use the calculator to check your solution there. So it looks like x equals 6 is correct. All right, that's all we have time for in the video. So we'll talk more about solving multi-step equations, but I'm just wanting to give you an idea of how this works, and we'll go over some more in class.